talking about knowing your power as a first-time home buyer. I know Tim came up with that line. I love how it rhymes. So first-time home buyers account for more than 50% of home loans applicants, and often the process of buying a home can be very daunting and surprisingly expensive if you're not prepared as a first-time buyer. Tim, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. Good to see everyone in the studio.
Yes, it's always a pleasure. Yeah. Good to have you back.
It is good.
Yeah.
I mean, why do first-time home buyers dominate the property market?
You know, Mo, if you look back at our history, right, we come from a space where black and brown folks weren't able to buy property during apartheid years. We weren't able to buy in the suburbs. So now, 27 years removed from the new democracy, a lot of the guys are in their early 30s, late 20s, and now they're getting into the market, right? So you're having a very different profile of individuals, of color, who are buying their first houses and who are looking to start to create their own wealth base. So that's why that whole profile is changing. It's first-time home buyer dominated.
So then what do we mean by a first-time home buyer having power?
Yeah, Amanda.
Where to?
Where are we going to?
So you know what it means? It's about being able to negotiate, right? So let me give an example. As a first-time home buyer, your decision to buy a house, right, is a profitable one for a lot of players across the board. So to explain that, right, the estate agent will charge you a fee of 5 to 7% on the house, right? A transfer attorney will charge you a fee to transfer the property into your name. A registering attorney will also charge you a fee to register a bond over the place if you've taken out a bank loan, right? The government will take a fee, right? So for every property that's over $1 million, the government will charge a transfer duty on that. And then the banks as well will charge an initiation fee, right? So now all of this has happened before you've even moved into your house or paid your first installment, right? So for you as a first-time home buyer, the important thing is for you to be able to negotiate and understand the power that you have to negotiate. Because without your decision to step into this place, we would not have the ability to earn an income. Right, none of these players. So your ability to negotiate with your estate agent in terms of making sure that they show you a property report on what the property was bought for and how much it was valued and what similar properties around the area have sold for, right? To negotiate, it is your right to ask the attorney for a discount, right? They charge a tariff, but you can ask for those discounts.
Right.
And then lastly, with the banks as well, you've got to be able to negotiate with them. Do not be taking the first offer that comes your way. Because, I mean...
Because it's exciting. You know what
I
mean?
know.
If you get an offer or whatever, and it's like, an approval, whatever, and then you're excited.
Absolutely. And I think it's about just remembering that this is a long-term commitment. So you've got to make sure that you're negotiating hard to reduce your cost, because there's a lot of cost involved, right?
100%. Tim, on my side, I think the first thing as a first-time home buyer, the first mistake I made was signing too many offer to purchase letters. That was the biggest mistake of my entire life. So what are the most common mistakes first-time home buyers always make, and how do we avoid these?
Right. So I think the one you made should be avoided, right? So you should try to commit after doing your homework and making sure that you know that you're buying a place at the right price.
The excitement,
right?
Yeah.
But the second one is this idea that, look, I've now committed to this process, right? I should not be buying a place that the costs are high, right? Which is a secondary house.
Sure.
Because your transfer duties are high, your transfer costs are high, and it's a place that you often wouldn't understand how to really negotiate the best price, right? So avoid that. Rather buy in a brand new development where everything has been de-risked for you. Everything has been packaged in one. The transfer duty is already in it. Your developers likely to give you all of those costs included, the registration costs as well, right? So that's the first one. The second one is don't just simply take an offer from a bank, right? You've got to make sure you're comparing quotations, and comparing gives you that ability to save as much as 0.5% on your interest rate. So on a R1,000,000 house over 20 years at 0.5% is equivalent to 80,000 Rand that you're saving. Yeah.
Tim, just to jump in there, another thing, avoiding maybe taking up a loan before applying for a home loan because you're thinking of your transfer duties, etc.
Exactly.
Is that also something to avoid big time?
Absolutely, because it just soaks up your affordability.
Yeah.
And of course, what you want to be able to do is leave enough room for the banks to be able to give you a 100% bond, right? And then thereafter, then you can look at the cost, right? But like I said, to keep those costs low is your first priority. And as a first-time home buyer, you really shouldn't have any business with buying a second-hand house that you need to negotiate. That's for the more experienced people who literally have their second, third houses that they can put some equity, which is cash, into the new place. Try and get into a brand new development, right? Because all the costs are included and your valuation is fairly standard. So it's easier for you to understand that.
Yeah, just on that point of deposits and whatever, you have to be liquid to some extent. So would you say that perhaps it's a longer journey than just that moment of applying? You've got to kind of save up for some of those costs. If, for example, it's a property that you're buying in a particular way, etc.
Yes, absolutely. Being able to put down that deposit from what you've saved up helps you also negotiate even further with the banks, right? And of course, when you move into a place, you want to be able to furnish it and start off with some new things. So also good to have that savings to be able to do that, right? The last thing you want to do is to be so excited about the place that you end up taking out a personal loan, right, to then buy all of these things because you have the burden now of a new home loan. You have rates and taxes to pay. You've got potentially levies to pay. And then now you saddle it with this personal loan to, help you get started. So always helpful to have savings in place, right? But if you don't have to put down your own money into the place and you can use a brand new development to get in without, or with minimal cost, always best to do that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, Tim, just final words to first-time home buyers.
To first-time home buyers, if you're looking to get into the space, we think it's a great time. We know the interest rates have ticked up, but to put that into context, it's just gone back to pre-COVID levels, right? So it's still a really good time to buy. Property is getting expensive. It never gets cheaper. They're not making any new land. So get in as quickly as possible. Come chat to us. We'll be able to give you options on new developments to get into. Of course, get you access to 7 banks and give you 5,000 Rand cash back.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That is Tim Akinusi, Property Explained. He joins us to talk about all property-related matters, and you can also check them out on social media at Mortgage Market. He prefers the company profile.
Not
more
his
than
own.
His own.
Yeah.
Please reach out to us on Instagram, mortgage.market.
Done deal. I love it. All right. It's almost time for the news at 8. Good morning. Property Explained back next week.